Welcome, everybody, to the Mando Fan Show. We are live on this Wednesday evening talking about the Season 3 finale of The Mandalorian, titled The Return, written by Jon Favreau, apparently to the dismay of some people, and directed by Rick Famuyiwa, who I think most people have really enjoyed what he's been bringing to the table. But either way, we are here to talk about the conclusion to Season 3. And with me, as always, is James and Lacey, and our guests are a dynamic theme park vlogging duo from Ordinary Adventures. It is
Living
Peter
the dream.
Ketra. How are you? Welcome to the Mando Fan Show, and welcome back, Peter, making his second turn on the Mando Fan Show. How are you guys?
Right. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm happy I could join.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome to have you both here with us. First of all, got to comment on the shirts. I love the Ordinary Adventure shirt that we have. The tie-dye is making a big comeback. I'm a fan of tie-dye. I actually had, I don't know if you guys remember this, but they had this run of Phantom Menace tie-dye shirts back in the day. And
I had the Yoda one.
Jealous.
I had the dual one, and it's and my dad used it to clean the wax off his car or something. I don't know what happened to it, but now I've seen people like buying them up on eBay, and I'm like, now I got to go back and pay $100 to buy a shirt I got for like $10.
I love that tie-dye's like making a comeback.
Huge. It's a huge comeback. Yeah. And then Peter, of course, I got to say thanks for picking up a Makes a Little Too Happen shirt, man. That's very cool. But I want to thank you both for joining us today as we close out Mando Season 3. So before we get into anything, I'm sure a lot of our audience is already familiar with both of you, Peter / Film, both of you Ordinary Adventures. Any plugs you'd like to toss out there where they can find you, where they can follow your adventures?
On YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/Ordinary Adventures. Recently, we went to Disneyland, and you know, when Force Awakens came out, Rey had that bread, that portion bread that she like put the portion in the thing and added water, and it was very cool. Up. Wanted to eat that. We finally got to eat it in Galaxy's
they're selling
Edge.
it now at Disneyland.
Shut up.
And it's pretty delicious.
All right.
Does it do a thing, or is it just the idea of it?
No, it's it's just a croissant basically, but it's really good.
Did you have to add anything to it?
No, I wish.
Okay.
I wish.
But the cool thing is, in the movie, that was done all practically.
Yes,
like
totally practically. And she couldn't eat it. They were like, "Do not eat this. It's like
I've always wanted to eat it, so it's cool that it's there.
That's cool. Is it
so jealous?
It's inside only Galaxy's Edge, or can you get it another? Oh, okay, cool, very cool.
Just in Disneyland right now.
Right on. Oh yeah, it's not Disney World yet.
Not Disney World.
I love how Disneyland gets everything.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. We're very blessed over here.
I love how these two show us everything on their YouTube channel.
They do.
That's the thing, is like I can't ever go out to Disneyland. I mean, we did the one time, but usually it's completely off limits. So I rely on these two to show me what's going on most of the time.
And let me ask you guys, because I don't know what it was, but we were at Galaxy's Edge for the first time last year in Anaheim for a celebration. Me and Lacey were. James had been there before, and Lacey's like, "I'm gonna go grab some breakfast," and she grabbed the Ronto morning wrap. And I don't know what happened, but I had a religious experience with that Ronto morning wrap, and I didn't really the lunch one is fine, but that morning one, it did something to me. I don't know what it is, but I loved it.
It's so good.
Okay.
I feel like we never get there early enough either. Like, because they stopped selling it at 10. Yes. We don't get there that early. But if you do get there that early, it's so good.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, they had gone on the
reward
Smuggler's Run, and I was like, I'm gonna go get. Do you guys want one? And they were like, I guess. And then afterward, John was like, I will never eat anything.
I could eat 2 more of those things to the chagrin of me. But yeah, very, very, very good. I do want to thank everybody for joining us live. If you are in the chat, thanks so much for popping in. Make sure the standard stuff, like the video, share it on social media, whatever you got going on. But just strap in for a good time, because we're gonna close this thing out having some fun talking about the latest chapter in Star Wars, which happens to be the final chapter of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. A lot to talk about, of course. And if you'd like your comment read on the show, we do, we're grateful enough to get so many comments. If you want us to react and read it on the show, we do have super chats available as well. So thank you for that support. And last but not least, from our plugs, we couldn't do shows like this without our Patreon supporters. So we have to say thank you to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. All of our resistance officers, no matter what tier you are, thank you so much for choosing us and supporting what we do here. So thank you. All right, so let's kick things off how we usually do on the show, which is the Pedro Pascal face scale. And what that is we each go around and rate the episode 0 to 10, halves are allowed, and then we average it out and see how many Pedros we're going to see on the screen here. So for the last time this season, let's kick it off this time with James. What did you score chapter 24?
I gave it a 9. I was really happy with the way that everything wrapped up, and I think in a good way too. It didn't give us like an Empire ending, but actually sort of closed a lot of things out, made us feel good. They won the war, they got their land back, you know, the bad guy is dead, question mark, but still like that essentially that's what we're looking at.
Oh, I didn't even think of
all
that.
in
You're
all-
right. We didn't see him. We didn't see
All
him.
in
That's the
all-
thing, you never see him die.
Oh, jeez.
All in all, though, I think like where they wanted this season to go, that chapter 7 and chapter 8 payoff was really worth it in my opinion. I think they landed the ending of this season, so I gave this episode a 9. And last week's was 9.5 because I loved it. I wasn't here, but 9.5 for me.
Yeah, and there was something like we talked about it with Alex Damon, who joined us last week, who was also at Celebration, but we got to see it in the room with 4,000 people, and that may have this is last week's episode, chapter 23.
That maybe gave me the 0.5.
That may have boosted us a little bit, but that was a special, fun episode for sure. But a high score there, so you enjoyed it. Good to see James. Peter, we're gonna check in with you here. Would you rate this one 0 to 10?
I feel bad because last time you had me on for the Book of Boba Fett finale, like I'm usually like super positive out of all my friends. I like stuff.
Okay, don't feel bad. This is
Don't
safe
feel bad.
space.
And I
Safe
feel like
space.
I'm the one that liked it the least here, I think, which is I'm giving it 7 Pedro Pascals.
Okay.
And I think
There's a lot of
it's a good-
sevens in the comments, so you're not
Yeah.
alone.
It's a good episode. I just felt like it felt like a lot happened in like such a short period. It almost felt like, I know this did not happen, but it felt like Disney was like, we have to cancel The Mandalorian. You have 1 episode to wrap everything up.
Oh,
You have 30
right,
minutes
yeah.
to do it. And like, that's what it felt like to me. It was a good episode. There was awesome action. There was, I think maybe, you know what they say about, expectation is the joy is
Thief of joy.
Yeah, Thief of Joy. I think I was expecting, you see the first season finale had the Darksaber reveal. The second season finale had Luke reveal. So I think I was expecting a big thing. And it's not their fault that they didn't give us a big thing. They didn't promise a big thing.
Right.
But it was just kind of like so.
Right on. Right on. Yeah, I mean, I can get that because they did certainly raise the bar each time. And then there's no fault of you to have expected something there as well. So I understand that. Kitra, how about you? What did you score chapter 24?
So I gave it an 8. I initially kind of feel the same way Peter does for the same reasons. It's like, I think we're all expecting so much and there's all these theories that are always going around.
Mhm.
And like you said, the past couple seasons, it always kind of leaves on a cliffhanger. I think I was expecting more like intertwining with Ahsoka somehow, like we'd see Sabine or we'd see Thrawn or we'd see something, or there'd be a post-credit scene, and there wasn't. So like Peter said, it's kind of my fault for like getting my expectations up really high. But when I went back and I like thought about it, like it was an awesome episode. And like a lot of unexpected things did happen that like weren't even on my mind. So for that, like I liked it a lot. It did feel a little bit short though. Like it just felt like everything happened really quick. But
So it's funny. I have this barometer I do where if I pause a show to check how much is left, it's either a good thing or a bad thing. And for this one, I was checking. I was like, I hope there's a lot more to go. And there was like 10 minutes left, and I was like, okay, all right. Where sometimes I'm like, oh god,
we're like, we started it. We're like 35 minutes. What?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually. I considered your point, Peter, as a positive, in that Favreau and company created a finale that is able to stand on its own without the shock factor or awe factor of a Luke Skywalker or the Darksaber. So I think in the long run, it will hold its own a bit stronger. So I gave this a 9 And I think a lot of it is driven behind the visual element of it, because they're obviously filming this thing in Manhattan Beach Studios, but these last 2 episodes did not feel like Obi-Wan Kenobi to me. It did not feel like some of the more claustrophobic stuff we've seen filmed in the volume. It still felt cinematic with some of the sweeping shots and stuff, and I really enjoyed that element of it. And I'll get to my favorite moment when we go over our favorite moments, but I'm giving this one a 9. I thought it was a really strong finale, and I'm kind of glad that it wasn't cliff hung, if I just made up a word, because we do have to go to Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew and stuff like that, and we may be 2 years from seeing Mando, so I kind of like that they're like, we're going to put a bow on this for now, and then we'll pick it up. But high score for me, 9, and Lacey, you get to close out the Pedro Pascal scale for the season.
Yeah, so I hovered between 8 and 9, 8.5 and 9. I ended up going with 9, and this is a completely probably bogus score on my part. It's just that no one died.
I know.
Well,
same.
So I went into this just like you guys did, especially Kitcher, with like all these expectations. I was like, oh my God, they're going to kill Bo-Katan. They're going to kill Din. Din's going to get mind flayed.
Everybody's gonna be dead.
You know, Grogu's going to get taken again. Like, and then nothing happened. And they're like peaceful at the end. He's just like chilling with a frog. And I was like, I got to give this a 9. It's not Luke Skywalker 10, but it's a 9 because no one's dead and Dave Filoni didn't get to kill anyone.
Were you waiting for like the end credit scene too? Where you're like,
Yes.
oh, but there's gonna be an end credit scene. You're gonna see like his hand like come up over
Well,
the cliff or something.
That or Thrawn or Ahsoka was going to show up.
Yeah.
And like, I was the same way. Like, I thought Sabine was going to come save the day with Boba Fett because we assumed he was going to show up at some point. And then Zeb wasn't in the bar. I thought he was going to be in the bar again. He wasn't.
Yeah.
Filoni was there somehow on the other side of the bar this time.
Yeah.
Changed seats.
And
but
also, what's his name? Peter Ramsey.
Peter
That
Ramsey
directed.
was a
yeah.
flight
Yeah.
X-Wing pilot. Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess like it's a great episode. It's solid. It has really fun moments. It has scary moments and like kind of anxious moments. But I have to give it a higher score because no one died. And I was like really excited.
Hey, whatever your parameters are, they are fair, because and you know,
But
Gideon
who
might
is
have
the
died,
spy? I'm sure we're going to discuss
Who is
it.
the spy?
Who is
You know
Apparently-
who the spy was, right?
apparently smarter people than me were like, well, it was the Mandalorian spying on the base. It wasn't this, no way out type of twist. So
I still don't trust the armor.
Yeah.
I feel like she will last until the final frame of the season and just be the nicest person possible, and the show will end, and people be like, I don't trust her.
I don't trust her
Yeah.
no
I
more.
don't trust you, Phyllis. Yeah. All right,
It's
let's
those
get
horns.
yes. Oh, yeah, true. All DeLorean. Yeah. All right. So our score between the 5 of us averaged out to an 8.4 on the Pedro Pascal scale. There he is, smiley, happy, hopefully good. Nielsen returns. Well done, sir. And for a guy who didn't really have to walk on set once.
That was the big thing people were saying today. They were like, so did he ever show?
Yeah, I think
Nope.
now he has to for season 4. They're really pushing the envelope here. But that's for a story for later on, I guess. But our patrons checked in with their score, and they were just a tad below us at 8.2. So very good scores all around. And we'll get to a couple of their comments. We have Major Patrick Hickey, who said, it's an 8 for me. Decent finale, but felt like the ending fell a bit flat. It's probably unfair to compare it to Chapter 16's Season 2 finale, but overall I'm happy. I thought that Grogu focusing on defense throughout the fight scene could be interesting in the future. And then we have new general, Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, which has to be a real name, said 8.5, loved it, though it felt a little anticlimactic. I don't know. So sort of peppering your thoughts in there, Peter, about maybe expecting a bit more and not getting it. So I understand that. Now we are going to move on, and I know there are people waiting for our final giveaway number, but before we do that, Lacey, I did see that we had a super chat.
We do have a super chat. So our first super chat is from Andrew Staley. Hey, Andrew. Hope you're
Thanks,
well.
buddy.
We miss you, buddy. He said, enjoyed the Mando fan show this go round. Thanks for all you guys and gals do. Appreciate you.
Thanks,
We
buddy.
appreciate
Andrew.
you too. Thank you. And we also have another one from Cal. Beckworth. What up, Kyle? He says, I really like how they set up The Mandalorian going forward. I really like this season, but least favorite of the 3 seasons. Thanks, TRB, for a great season of the Mando Fan Show. Thank you for
Kyle.
watching.
Yeah.
I get that, though. I feel like season 1, you had Moff Gideon, who was just like a boss, and just like everybody was in trouble, and he brings out the Darksaber, and it's this whole thing. Season 2, you have Luke Skywalker. This season, they were like, he's happy. Just like chilling in his cabin, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Thank you for that, Kyle and Andrew. We appreciate that very much. And keep that chat going, because a lot of people are saying some really cool stuff. So we're about to get into our main discussion in a minute here. But before we do that, I know there are people who've been collecting our bounty as we've gone along all season, and the Mando code is coming to a close. So just a reminder of what's at stake here is the grand prize Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian 3-pack of Mando, Ahsoka Tano, and Grogu. The Resistance Broadcast logo T-shirt, Mandalorian and Grogu Funko Pop, and the Star Wars Celebration exclusive tracking fob keychain. All will go to one person who is going to be able to send in the correct sequence of numbers. So we didn't give them out in the correct order, of course. If you're a rookie, I apologize for you not understanding that. And also what those numbers mean. And the final number in the Mando code is 0. And how to enter to win, you must put those numbers in the correct order and tell us what they represent, and email us starting now to resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. If there were any emails that we received before this moment, we will not count those. You can't jump the gun. Patience is key in Star Wars. So
there are none. So
all right. So this point going forward, whoever's the first person to email us will be the winner, and we'll reveal that at the end of this episode. But now it's time to get down to business.
Can we jump into one last super chat before we get going?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. So we have Aaron Cole. Thank you, Aaron, so much. He says,
Aaron.
reuniting in Book of Boba Fett allowed for the familial bond to grow, leading to Din Grogu. Oh my God, Din Grogu. As a Mando apprentice. Reuniting in season 3 would feel jarring for Din to adopt Grogu after years of separation. The Book of Boba Fett payoff Rick referenced? ?
Yeah.
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 Do you know what do you know what he's talking about? The reference where he says it's all kind of coming together and it all sort of pays off. Yeah. That's probably what it is getting to that point now where we feel even more comfortable with their relationship, because we left the last season of The Mandalorian with them being separated, but now because of all the ancillary shows that they're doing and how everything is sort of connected, we can now go into this season the way it should be, without having to worry about an additional storyline of how they're going to get back together.
Sure. Yeah.
How do you guys feel about Din Grogu?
I'm just going to say this. They made it confusing with the calling the Mandalorian Mando, and then they introduced a bunch of Mandos, and Grief still calls him Mando. And now we can't even call him Din anymore because Din's apparently the familial name. So now we got to call him Djarin or something. I don't know. What Kitra and Peter, what do you guys think?
I guess I didn't realize. I don't know. It kind of took me by surprise. I was like, oh, I just thought that was his first name this whole time.
Me
So
too.
weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting.
We'll just go back to calling him Baby Yoda, and then everybody will yell at us.
Oh, well, Favreau did it at Celebration
did
like
it.
3 times.
I know. He's still Baby Yoda to me. Okay.
Yeah. Bob Iger doesn't care what we call him as long as we buy the merch. So
We do have a couple more super chats.
oh yeah, sure.
So Freezy2324, what up, Freezy? He says, congratulations on your celebration success, TRB. Thank you. Do you think Mandoverse movie will include Luke, Han, and Leia? I do not. If anybody, Luke, but I don't think all 3.
I don't think so.
That's
It's tough. But with them working with the actor, not just Mark Hamill, but the other one that does a lot of the facial stuff as well. I mean, it's possible because they're friendly with that person, but I don't know about Han and Leia. I don't know. Yeah, it's tricky because you also got the books, which very clearly did have Luke, Han, and Leia and stuff. So when it comes to Thrawn, but probably not, honestly.
Ordinary Ventures, what do we think? You want to see the OGs, or do you think they would steal the spotlight?
No, I don't think I need to see them.
I don't think I need to see them, but if I do see them, I don't want the CG deep fake versions. Just find someone, like they did in Solo, You just
Just get
find
Sebastian
someone to play
Stan.
them.
That's what everybody wants.
Right on. All right.
Last super chat, Christian Morales. Thank
wow.
you, Christian, aka Christian Chris, one of the two. He says, you thought that was the last comment for now, but you didn't expect mine.
You're correct. You are correct.
Well, there you go.
Thanks,
Thank
Christian.
you. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody, very much. All right. So let's get into it now. And we'll start things off by going around and just giving what our favorite moment of the episode was, whether that's a shot, a line, an action sequence, something that made you laugh, anything that was your favorite moment from this episode. So we'll start with our guests of honor, if you would like. So Peter, did you have a favorite moment or shot or line scene from this final season 3 episode?
I think the moment that I got most excited about was Bo-Katan igniting the dark saber as she was like leading the army of jetpacking Mandalorians, like jumping down into the Imperial trooper, like that whole battle.
Cool.
That's
So cool.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
For me, it was probably the fire and Grogu like using the Force to protect them. It reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy when Groot kind of like protected everybody.
Yes.
Like, so I loved it so much. I was just like, oh, I was like, he's gonna be so tired after that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful callback to season 1 too, where he does the same thing, but he's so little.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he just passes out. He's like,
Yeah.
right. Great picks. Lacey, how about you?
My favorite was when the Mandalorian thought he could take on those guards, and he's like really down on his luck, and then Grogu shows up and it's just spraying him with the Bacta, and he's like, I'm good, stop.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could just spray Bacta like
Well, it's a
Neosporin.
callback to season 1. Remember
Oh,
when
when
he
he-
takes his
that's what
helmet off?
IG-11 did.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Jeez, I gotta go back and watch season 1 again, man. So good. All right,
the
that's
final
good.
episode.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's a good pick. James, how about you?
I have a soft spot in my heart for the moment when Grogu is rescuing from the Praetorian guards.
Yeah.
Am I saying that? Why is that not coming out right?
Praetorian.
Praetorian. Yeah.
Praetorian.
Guard. Yeah. I really like that part, but I actually do think my favorite part of the episode was seeing all of the Mandalorians in front of the burner and igniting that. I think it felt so much like earned. I just felt very excited for these people who were back in this place, igniting this thing for Mandalore, you know what I mean? And I was like, we got here. This has been 3 seasons, and here they are lighting the fires of this place that we first saw in the Clone Wars. You know, it's just so cool. It felt like payoff for me.
I mean, that's another good pick. Kitra, I'm with you. It's the moment where Grogu protects them in using the Force with the fire for a few reasons. One, to your point, just seeing him do his thing and getting that behind his back, like POV shot, reminded me of Yoda behind him in TLJ as he's burning the tree. I felt some patterns there, but then also the music.
Kanan.
Yeah, Kanan, of course. Yeah. And then the music I felt was, no offense to Joseph Shirley, but I felt like it wasn't as strong as the first 2 seasons. I know Ludwig didn't do it this season, but in that moment, I really felt it. I felt that and your pets agree, which is fantastic. Your dogs agree with us, so that's good. But I will say that I thought the music was very strong in that moment. I thought the moment was elevated because of that. So I'm going with the moment Grogu protected his family, Bo-Katan and Djarin. I'll just call him Djarin now. All right.
See, but
so
I took the name thing, by the way, that you know how when you become a child, like when you're the child of an adult or you get married, you take someone's last name. In Star Wars, they take the first name. That's how I took it. Is that weird?
I don't know. I think that could be the case for in some Star Wars culture. Obviously, like the Thrawn name convention is like way crazy.
Right.
To me, I still kind of think of Din as his first name, but I sort of took it more along the lines of like they named him after the person, like how your son is named John, you know, like they just sort of did that, like he's named after his father, but not a last name thing, just like he's named after his father, kind of. I don't know, that alone.
All right. I mean, as long as
But-
we can still call him Din, like for Din Djarin, and it not be confusing, because I think people still just going to call him Grogu. You know, I think.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll ever find out more.
Ditcher's like,
about
no, it's
his
Baby Yoda. We're
family.
back to Baby Yoda.
Like, is Din Djarin's parents' name like Din Samantha and Din John, Din Jerry or whatever? You know, like I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like Paz Vizsla's son is named Ragnar, so it's not like he took Paz.
Right.
I don't know.
Unless
Yeah.
he's Paz Ragnar, we don't know that yet.
And then there was
Oh.
Tar Vizsla, Pre Vizsla, Paz Vizsla. Like they did it
Wait,
right.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yoda said everything kind of backwards, so maybe it's like the
Oh.
species. that
Oh wow.
It's how his license reads.
That's
Yeah.
the best one we've
Din,
got. I'm
comma,
with you.
Grogu.
That's
Yeah.
good too.
All right. Hey, you know what? That's the best I've heard so far. So let's go with that. All right. All right. So let's talk about this thing. I don't know if Lacey, if there were any super chats we needed to get through before we get into the main discussion, but we can probably do that now if we do.
We have one from Qui-Gon Jinn who says, "Say her name, Satine." I know this was a big disappointment for a lot of people that she was not mentioned.
On the count of three, should we say her name?
Sure, go ahead.
1, 2, 3.
Satine.
Satine.
Oh, I went way too early.
We did. Well, that's the beauty of virtual conversation. We did it for you though, Qui-Gon Jinn, as requested. So there you go. Thank you.
I guess people are just disappointed because they didn't really mention it in Obi-Wan. They didn't mention it in this. So people are like, are you ever going to mention this person exists?
Yeah, I mean, I think Peter sort of nailed part of the issue with a bunch of fans who may have not have loved this episode is that they established that expectation of either a big cameo or a big twist, and we just didn't get any of that in this episode. So
We do have one more.
yeah.
Barclay Erickson. What up? Awesome name. Call him Din like Obi-Wan calling Vader Darth.
yeah,
Mm.
interesting.
Interessante.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much.
Barclay. Yeah. All right, so let's just talk about this thing. All right, Ordinary Adventures crew. Overall, this episode, you gave it good scores. Maybe not your favorite episode, but your general thoughts on this episode. How'd you feel? How do you feel now that it's maybe digested a bit? I know it's the day of, but Mando season 3 is over. And how do you feel about this one to close it out?
I feel like I said earlier, like I feel the more I think about it, the more I feel like it's a great ending because like Bo had her all the Mandalorians had their moment, and then the two Dins had their moment, and the bad guy was was maybe killed. I don't know, but I feel like the two episode 8 and episode 9 were probably like the two strongest episodes of the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
But you could go ahead and say
Yeah, 8 was
Yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah, I loved 8.
Do you guys mean
7
7 and 8?
7 and 8. 7 and 8.
Yeah, or 7 and 8.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, you're right.
I know a lot of people had problems with this season, and I feel like it was another expectation thing. Like if they had called the season The Mandalorians, and it was like a spin-off, like I don't think people would have had a problem, but like everybody was invested in Mando and Grogu being together on adventures, and I feel like this episode is, if anybody has that problem, this episode leaves you in the place that seems like that's what next season's going to be. So I mean,
Right.
Mhm.
that I think is a good thing.
Yeah. And do you feel that there was anything that needed more development or resolution, or like oh, I gotta wait 2 years to find out blank, you know?
You know, I'll make one complaint about one resolution we got. You know, the first episode of the first season set up that Moff Gideon wanted Grogu and was doing tests on Grogu. And I thought this was going to be this big thing that was going to connect. Again, maybe my expectations or whatever, but like the answer that it was just Moff Gideon trying to
He
build
just wanted to clone himself.
himself
just
and
let
give
him-
himself
The
force
Force.
powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like such a lame. And then we didn't even get to see the clone. I mean, they just killed them before they even like birthed the clones or anything.
Right.
Like, it would have been cool if like they could have fought the, you know, force powered clones or something. But
That could have
I
been
was
That would have
hoping
been
it was,
wild.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was hoping it was going to connect to like Snoke and Palpatine,
Yeah.
like somehow.
So,
I'll say
So I
this,
don't know-
James, real quick, just about because it's on the topic of Moff Gideon. Like I've been like just wanting more and more of Moff Gideon since the moment I heard he was cast, because I love Breaking Bad, Giancarlo Esposito, but also finally seeing him show up as a very sort of calmly pulsed Hannibal Lecter type calculated villain. And then we got a taste of him there, and he was frightful, he was new, he was fresh. I'm like, finally, you know, Star Wars, which I feel has had a villain problem, especially in live action, here we go, we got this new villain. And then he just doesn't really show up much in season 2, tries to off himself. That was weird. And then season 3, he's just gone until the end here. I feel like he hasn't been used enough, but at the same time, when we've gotten him, it's felt worth it because he hasn't been here a lot. Sort of like Darth Vader only showing up for like, you know, 40 minutes in the entire original trilogy. But when you got him big. It's sort of like that. But if this is the end of him, if he actually died here and it wasn't like a clone or he didn't escape and the armor didn't protect him, it's another wasted great Star Wars villain to just hand it off to Thrawn now or something. That would bother me. So my resolution that I need to find out is, I hope this isn't the end of Moff Gideon. And if it is, it's a misuse of a great villainous actor and a potentially great fresh villain.
Yeah, and his suit was so cool.
Yes,
that was gonna be my thing, John. Is like, I don't know if you guys have come across it today, but I saw it floating around that what makes sense is that what we saw die on screen was one of the clones. And I'd kicked around. I was like, well, man, I feel like people are gonna think that was pretty cheap, but I don't know, some of the signs that people were pointing to, like the really weird poster of him, like from season 2 was the one they released for Moff Gideon. That's strange.
Yeah.
The fact that in the poster he has the mustache, but like in all of season 3, he does not have any mustaches, nor do any of his clones. So that's kind of strange too. It's like, I don't know. It kind of made sense to me that could be one way for them to have had a satisfying ending, that the guy died or that they got out of the situation, but maybe Moff Gideon is not completely dead. And I also thought it a little strange that last time he fought the Mandalorian one-on-one, he lost pretty easily. And this time he's like, I'll do it myself. And it's like, you're going to lose again. I don't understand why he was so happy to go right back in. I mean, I
did have that new gear.
Yeah. But he lost last time and he lost again. So I don't know why he was so confident, but I can understand a clone being a little bit more confident.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Didn't have stronger backup this time too. You know, maybe if it was just him, if it was just one-on-one, no Darksaber. I don't know. Who knows?
How do you
Lacey,
guys feel about the Darksaber not existing anymore?
Ooh, that's a tough one. A lot of people were upset about that online.
I was kind of just like, oh, it's broken.
I felt that way walking out of The Last Jedi. And I was like, oh, that's it. And that's kind of cool. Let's move on. And then they're like, fixed. So I don't know that it's like, is the crystal still good? Can they just find another piece of metal to put it in? Like, I don't know, that maybe the crystal lives on or something, but I'm cool with it being gone. I was kind of hoping, and that would go with the theme of sort of, if Mandalorians are going to continue to exist, they need to evolve beyond their ancient history and being tied to their past. And it looks like a lot of the themes of this season was about Mandalorians letting go of their traditions, whether it's the, you know, Children of the Watch, or whether it's, you know, Bo-Katan and the Night Owls and her family. It's just people realizing, like, if we're going to survive, we all need to sort of get on the same page here and maybe throw out what we think is the right way.
Yeah.
And I think the Darksaber is part of that, a big part of that.
You know what? I think the ending scene, to me, on that note, because I agree with you that that's the theme of the season, would have played better for me if Din is there, like, watching Grogu, and he takes off his helmet and puts it next. Like, I feel like that would have been the perfect, like, way to end it. Yeah.
The Darksaber thing for me is probably something that I'm gonna have to think about and sort of have time to sort of sit with how that ended. But the immediate reaction to it being destroyed was, I thought, a little strange that it was Gideon that broke the saber, but I felt like he would have been the one that would be like, I want that. That's mine, or whatever. And it would have been better if Bo was the one that was like, if like all this whole time she had been thinking that was what she wanted, but she didn't need it. So she like somehow destroyed it in order to do something to Gideon. You know, not as stupid as this, but like she throws it into the lava and he goes running after it kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like that would be really stupid. But I'm saying you get the point of like she gets rid of it and he goes after it to his
sort of like
calling.
Luke in Return of the Jedi, just throwing his lightsaber away.
But it was sort of the opposite of that. And I was kind of like left a little underwhelmed with the whole, like, what was the point of Din giving the lightsaber to her so she could lead it when like the very first battle she has with it, it ends up just getting broken and lost. I was like, oh, that kind of stinks. But you know, it is what it is. And now that it's at the end of its line, I mean, you're right. They could rebuild it. Maybe we'll figure out what they do. They're pretty creative with stuff like that. But if this is supposed to be the end of the Darksaber, then I go, okay, let's spend some time with that and, you know, come up with the best feelings.
I want to see, speaking of Sabine, I want to see Sabine finding out that the Darksaber is destroyed and seeing it. Like,
I was so wrong. I've been saying for years that Sabine was going to show up at the end of this series, at the end of this season, and she did not.
We'll see her in August. That's
good thing I did not make a bet about it.
About a pie bet?
Yeah.
Which the video's coming. The video's coming. The pies have been delivered to Faces in London. We will be posting that video.
It's probably the dumbest thing we do, to be honest.
Yeah.
But people enjoy the dumb stuff. People enjoyed when we did a Taco Bell challenge. Peter and Kitra.
I ate a spoonful of sugar once.
Yeah. The three of us tried to eat 12 soft tacos in 1 hour stream each.
I got to 10. I did pretty good.
I finished the 12, and then I had to burrow into a cave for a week.
You had to end the stream early and be like, I gotta go.
I sort of DJ Khaled out, and it was like, this is stupid. I'm not gonna make myself sick for no reason.
But we just get so competitive, John and I, that we were like, we're doing this.
Yeah. But if it was I'll tell you right now, if it was the breakfast Ronto wrap, well, no problem. Let's go. It's a lot of pita, but you know what are you gonna do?
That is a lot of pita.
But all right, so Darksaber gone, sort of that just thing hanging over the head of Mandalorians is one less obstacle for them to be torn apart. So I think we are sort of moving in this direction of the viability of Mandalore. We see regrowth on the planet, quite literally, with those pirates or spies, or whatever we want to call those guys. So there's clearly this move towards Mandalorian. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but someone on Twitter, you know, we always go back to that shot in Rise of Skywalker where Lando has all the cavalry with him, and someone said they saw those Mandalorian ships. Well, the one Bo-Katan flies, I forget the name of it, the class ship, but they are there. So I think the future is certainly extends. It's going to be expansive for future Mandalore, especially leading up to this Filoni movie. So, but in terms of other elements of this, I know they sort of rounded out the opening of season 1 where you had Paz Vizsla's son, you know, getting anointed as part of the way. And I almost like forgot for a second that was his son. So it was a bit more maybe emotional having remembered that. But then I think one part was a bit like, I thought we all just kind of assumed that Din Djarin was already his like dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I had a friend text me and said that I cried so much at that moment. Like to me, I was like in shock, or I was like in disbelief, because I was like, I thought he had already adopted.
This was established. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was confusing.
At least by like, I mean, you watch, and whether you have kids or not, I mean, you watch the end of season 2 when he takes off his helmet and he's like saying, "Don't be afraid," and it's okay. Like that's a dad sending his kid off to camp or school for the first time. You know, we've seen a lot of these parental moments, so it just felt sort of like they needed official documentation or witnesses, or it just that felt a little odd to me. I don't know about Lacey. I don't know how you felt about that, but
there were a couple moments that I felt like I was like, oh, I thought this was already established. But then I start to question my own sanity, that I'm like, did I just make this up in my head that like this was my headcanon? You know, like, did I just like assume these things? Because as Star Wars fans, I think I'm guilty of it all the time. I'm just like, oh yeah, of course that's true. Yeah. And then it's like, then they tell the general audience like, hey, this is happening. And I'm like, of course it is. And they're like, wait, that's a thing? Like a normal person would be like, I don't understand. And you're like, how did you not pick up on this? But at the same time, I think it was one of those things that he was a foundling, but then there were moments that Din didn't fully, like, he was always like, don't do that, stay over here. And this was the first episode that he welcomed Grogu into the challenge, like into the battle, which made me nervous. I was like, you're gonna bring a baby with you on this trip? And he was like, yeah, I'm bringing the baby. And I was like, okay, that's bold.
He did the whole like, I need you to be brave. And
yeah, like,
oh
and I get it, but at the same time, he's still a baby.
Yeah,
he
sort of like
talk, which I thought he was going to talk at the end.
I
Me
definitely
too.
thought he was going to talk.
When she was like, he can't even talk, I was like, do it, Grogu.
Yeah,
and
here
he
we
was just
go.
like, I can't. She's right.
Right.
And I was
not
like,
yet.
oh. I love how I'm having conversations with these characters. Like,
By the way, did any of you, like when Axe Woves was going up to the light cruiser, thinking that he was going to betray them all in some way?
Yes.
I was like, he's the spy.
He's like, I
gonna
knew
happen.
it. I
And
knew
like,
it. And
nothing
then like a
happens.
minute later, oh, okay. Maybe
So
not.
I also need to issue the apology that this morning when I was going through my Mandalorian minute, I dropped a Axe Woves is dead, and all the comments were like, no, he got out the window, and I was like, did he? And then someone even put like, he's the guy who was leading the chant.
He led the
I'm
chant.
like, oh, that's
Yeah.
right. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
Can I just say
just-
this is so on par with James that he misses like a small detail? Like,
Yeah. So I was just sitting there like, when you just watch an episode, you're like trying to remember everything. And
Dude, yeah.
the big takeaway from me, like as I got to that part, is like, abandon the ship, I'll take it down. And he's on the thing, he's like, I'm gonna crash it into the building. And I'm like, I don't remember much more detail about that character other than it was very clear he was kamikaze style driving that thing right into the base. And so I was like, I guess they killed off that character. And then I got a bunch of comments. So, thanks for clearing that up. But after I saw it, I was like, oh, shoot. Yeah, he definitely. Well, good. Good for him.
And to be clear, that's why we do those Mando minutes where, like, whenever we wake up in the morning, we watch Mando and we turn on our cameras and we give a minute reaction to that stuff. And it's a genuine reaction because it's just sometimes there's a lot. And sometimes I definitely miss stuff. And you see in the comments, like, I can't believe you didn't bring up that. I'm like, I can't believe I didn't either.
Okay, but Sooner Thrawn says James can translate all of basic, but Axe is now gone.
True. Well, all right. So the part when Mando was going through the force fields and R5 was helping him out, which, by the way, now he's got the rocket packs too. Like, I don't know about that if I like that, but it reminded me of Phantom Menace when the doors open and Obi-Wan tries to run through each one. Except this one, they're manually disabling them, and he's like collecting this gear and like really gearing up and stuff. But the further he went along, I don't know if you guys that felt this way. I'm like, where's Grogu? Like, he's further and further back there. He's gonna get sniped. That was my biggest concern. And then he turns his head around, and I'm like, oh, something bad's gonna happen. I just had this. I don't know why I did. I wasn't worried about the Mandalorian because in my brain I'm thinking, Favreau already wrote season 4. They're doing season 4. It's called The Mandalorian. It's his show. I think he's gonna be fine.
Was
Some people
Filoni there being like, yeah, just kill him. He's okay. Nobody
Some
needs
people
Grogu.
were talking about like worried about Din Djarin dying, and I never worried about that. But I was worried a little bit about Grogu. I don't know if I'm crazy or if you guys did, but I just felt like
picture Filoni being like, it's gonna be hopeful. Just kill him.
I wasn't worried when in that moment you were talking about, but I was actually
When the door
worried
shut.
when the Praetorians came out and they started following him back.
that
into
too.
Yes,
Or is
the
that-
door shut.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, that is the same moment. Right, yeah.
Made me
Yes.
so nervous.
Yes, because I was like in the Last Jedi, I were like, here we go, some more foot soldiers to knock out, and they sure enough, Rey and Kylo Ren did their job, and I'm like, makes sense. But after that last episode where Paz Vizsla just got slowly murdered, I was like, I am legitimately afraid of these guys,
Yeah.
and I was very concerned. I don't know about.
I thought
Kitcher
Grogu
and
was going to
Peter, but-
pull out Yoda's lightsaber at that part. I thought that's what they were waiting for.
Oh man,
Like, he was just going to be like,
That would've been crazy.
"Shoo," and I was going to be like, yeah. And then it didn't happen. And I was like, okay, as long as he's alive,
I
I'm
was
cool.
thinking he was going to do something like, Attack of the Clones Yoda or something. So I'm with you on that. But Kitcher and Peter, in terms of that scene, How'd you feel about the, Din's sort of journey to that cloning room and eventually Moff Gideon? And did you have those fears as well, or were you pretty confident Grogu was going to be all right?
To be honest, when I was watching it, I didn't remember that Grogu was even with him until he like popped his head around the thing after. And then I was like, oh yeah, 100% honest.
I left the dog outside. Oh man.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah. He's with him. Okay.
Yeah.
He's good. What about you?
What worried me was like there was this tweet going around last week that was an Instagram story from one of the guys that plays Mandalorian, Brandon Wayne.
Oh, Brendan Wayne.
Brendan Wayne, yeah.
And I was unable to substantiate if this was actually a true Instagram, because when I went to his Instagram, it wasn't there. But it was something like, "You guys are not ready for next week. It's going to be sad," or like something like that.
I hate when actors do that.
What?
I hate when actors do that.
Me too.
Then, yeah.
So I was like, "Oh my god, they're going to kill him!" Like I was like, "This is going to happen." People have been like, all these YouTube people have been like, "Pedro's not happy." I was like, "No, that's complete crap."
Yeah.
But then when he posted that, or like when that was going around, I was like, is it true? And then the scene came up. Yeah, I was like, I was having a moment of crisis of when I know it's true, and I don't know. Yeah.
That's a fair point, because I felt that way a little bit when he was getting like roped up in the last episode and he was getting strangled and stuff. I was like definitely a bit concerned about Mando himself. And then for some reason, there's something about the IG-12 thing that I love from the comedic standpoint. I'm glad it's done, because that easily could have been something that we love and then got really annoying real fast.
John's sitting there going, no.
Right?
No.
But there's something very feeble about that vessel that made me very concerned for Grogu. It's just like, I feel like it's easy to tip over. I feel like it's easy to get to him. I just didn't like, I like him with his pod, with his little protected little roof better than the IG-12. So from an anxiety standpoint for the well-being of Grogu, I'm glad we're going to try something else out for, whatever the future is.
I thought that was going to stick around for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Not just with the yes, no, but I thought they were going to update it and give him Taika Waititi's voice. Like he could talk through it, and that would be a stepping stone between like him actually talking, but him being able to communicate. And I also thought, obviously in the last 2 episodes, the way he was moving around made that character a lot more of a less handicapped character. You know what I mean? Like you always kind of have to have this other thing around this pod, but like when he's in the body, he can move around, be a helpful person. He can fight, I just thought it was like the next logical step until we got to a point where they could age up his body enough to make him walk around and stuff. But to get rid of it so quickly, I was a little surprised. I'm like, oh, he's back to just walking around. I thought that was the end of the tub. What does he do now? Are we going to get season 4 where he's grown up? Are they going to let like 10 years pass?
Well, they've been doing real time, so it might be 2 years later.
Yeah,
I don't know. But
it just reminded me again of like the new Guardians movie, like where Groot is like, he looks so weird. Have you guys seen what he looks like for the new Guardians movie?
No.
Is he like a 20-year-old now?
Like in the holiday special, I think he's gonna look the same, right? He looks strange. I don't like it. I'm like, I don't want Grogu to ever get older.
Yeah. I hear you. Lacey, I know we have a few
till that Ray movie comes out.
With some,
I know.
Yeah. With some other points of view, Lacey, if we have those super chats you want to get to.
We do. All right. So first we have nerdy_Seb. Thank you so much for the super chat. They said, what happened to R5? LOL. Did they leave him? That whole sequence was awesome. Great callback to A New Hope. It was really, really wonderful. And the mouse droids were hilarious, where they were like, beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. Well, he just blasted his way out of there, didn't he? With his little rocket boosters?
Which is an R2-D2 type thing. Yeah.
Which I can't stand.
You know what's? I thought of that when I watched it. I was like, John hates this.
Well, all right. So it's not like one of those things like, oh, so stupid, but I think I like that there is a give and take, like in the original trilogy, where they're like, don't forget the droids, at the end of the Jabba sail barge blowing up, or like, hey, we got to grab R2, and they look to make sure he's with them and stuff, and don't forget about R2. And now with having the rocket packs, it's almost like they don't need the humans, and I felt like there was a missing that give and take. And I think seeing R5, who we always thought was just this beat up piece of crap from the original trilogy, now he has all of a sudden he had these things this whole time, like broken motivator. It's all right. I got rocket boosters. I'll go fly to Junlin Wastes. I'll go fly to Tashi Station, get myself a new motivator. I'll be back in 3 minutes. it's just it's just a nitpick. I
think
not a fan.
Pelly gave him some upgrades. That's what I like.
Maybe, and that's fine. It's just a little nitpick of mine. I'm not the biggest fan of the astromechs having the
I actually had a little worry moment too. That it's the finale, and there was a portion of it where I go, "Oh no, they're not going to lean into R5 for this finale," and everybody's going to go, I expected something really cool, and it was just like R5 for half the episode, But luckily they ended when they ended, and it was good, and they moved on. But there was definitely a part where they went back, and then they went back again to him, and I was like, guys, don't make this the whole episode, please.
Yeah. R5, our new hero. All right, what else we got?
Next super chats from JC. Thank you so much. Says Phasma survived and Gideon too dies on that hill. Phasma did not survive The Last Jedi. I know some authors are saying that she did, but that was a fiery death. This one was a little bit more kind of out there, I think, because he could have fallen down or whatever. Like hers was like she went to a collapsed ship.
And is his armor that Beskar armor, and he claims he has force abilities, whatever. Like, could he have done the same thing Grogu did? Like, do you Peter and Kitcher? Do you think it's more than 50% that he could be alive, or do you think he's toast? Do you think it was even Moff Gideon there, or was it a clone? Like, where do you guys stand on this?
I don't know. What do you think?
I love that character. I love that actor. On one hand, I want him to continue to be alive and be part of this because, him with that suit, it's just
so cool.
I call him Darth Gideon now.
Nice,
suit. But I feel like I want to see more of it. But at the same time, he's been defeated 3 times. I'm not sure we want to keep on bringing him back. It feels kind of cheap. The more you kind of he got arrested, he broke out, he died. Now he's back. It's a clone, and it's it feels like. It feels like in the comics of Spider-Man or the Clone Saga and all that stuff. It kind of feels cheap.
Like Dr. Claw is like, "I'll get you next time, Gadget." It's like, all right, Dr. Claw.
All right, next we have Christian. Thank you so much for the super chat. He said, "I love the way the armorer said this is the way after Din proposed the adoption. It was the most genuine version I've heard her say in 3 seasons. She's still sus, Christian."
See, I'm done with she has the
this is the way.
I think she gets the pass now. I think I've pointed my finger at her enough where it's like I think she's good now.
Also, Emily Swallow is just so lovely.
Yeah, she seems to really enjoy doing all this too, which is very cool. So thank you, Chris.
If she wanted to screw them over, she could have done it a billion times before now. I feel
right.
You're totally right.
Yeah. Surprised if they pulled her out of nowhere and was like, "This whole time I've been pulling strings to really bring down the Mandalorian."
Yeah,
I just feel like it would be too much of a surprise, and I think a lot of people had problems with the whole Bo-Katan can take her helmet off thing, but that storyline sort of made sense to me. I go, okay, I wouldn't have predicted that, but I understand the purpose of why she's doing that, and
because she wouldn't have gotten the other Mandalorians if they had to all wear their masks all the time. So she said, "Well, I can get the other group if we say, okay, you don't have to do this."
Yeah, I mean, and I got it. It wasn't something that I felt like she was being a jerk to everybody else. I saw a lot of the memes of people saying "What? I can walk both paths? Why do you make me put the helmet on?" Kind of thing. And I was like, I mean, that's funny, but it's not. I mean, it makes sense to me from this religious world that they've created in this story.
True. Next is Cal Weaver. What up, Kyle? How's it going, man?
What's up,
We miss you. He said, "Want to say thank you for all that you do with the show and you all. This show and all the discussions bring me so much joy. Miss you all. Love the FC Cincy gear, James. Can't wait to see you all again."
Woo! Thanks,
He's
Kyle.
matchy today, James.
Appreciate it,
the
buddy.
Star Wars soccer. We miss you too, and we appreciate your thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy.
Marco's up. What up, Marco? Thank you so much. He said, "What about Bo-Katan? Is she shacking up with Mando?" I wish. I wish they had been getting closer the whole series, and then nothing. Marco, let's have a chat. Big disappointment. Probably the biggest disappointment for me is that nothing came of that. It was like they were hinting at it. There were moments, there were camera pushes on her, and like, your song is not yet written, like romantic phrases that like the Star Wars official accounts across the world were putting hearts in their copy, and yet nothing.
Wait a second. So if Bo-Katan marries Din, what does her name become?
Din, obviously.
Din Bo-Katan Kryze.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, what did you guys feel about? I know these two guys didn't really see it. Did you?
I did.
Peter?
No, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Kitcher Peter, did you guys feel anything? Did you get any vibes?
I didn't, to be honest. No.
I didn't get any romantic vibes, but there was like a mommy daddy to Grogu kind of thing going on. I felt like.
Yeah.
I think I'm just deprived of romance in Star Wars, so I'm just forcing it on every character.
Yeah. I always said I would have been okay if they did that, but I didn't think they were telling us that. Like, I would have been okay with that storyline. I didn't not want it.
I think
like
they were hinting at it though.
A little bit like
they're playing.
Like it's Sleepless in Seattle where Grogu's the kid and he's trying to like get like those two together. And he's like, "Oh, I need help. Come help me." And she comes over, I don't know. I just feel like Grogu sort of wants that more than anyone. And Din doesn't realize it yet because he's like so in full Mando mode right now.
I mean, she's just
a
whole
cool
speech
aunt.
to her. Cool aunt. I do like that. That's great though.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, that whole speech that they gave, and then the way that all the official accounts were like, always together. I was like, what's with the hearts? What does it mean?
It could be a slow burn too.
It could be. Totally could be.
Mhm.
Next, we have Soonerthron. Thank you so much. He said, liked the laser walls, very Phantom Menace. The ship crashing at the end of Clone Wars. Think Moff is alive. Thrawn gets him in a breathing suit. So if you guys can't tell, Soonerthron loves Thrawn. So his time is almost here. But I guess that perfectly leads kind of into what everyone's thoughts are of what's next. I mean, we didn't really get a continuation of Book of Boba Fett. We didn't see Cobb Vanth. We didn't see Boba Fett or Fennec Shand. So how are we leading into Ahsoka? How is this going to tie back? Like the Mandoverse movie stuff? Like where is this going?
Let me ask Peter, because you jokingly said Darth Gideon, and here we have, Soonerthron bringing up a point of like, maybe he's so messed up and he's a breathing suit. Like, are we going full Darth Gideon moving forward if he's alive? And would you be down with that?
I think I would be down with that, but I also feel like in this episode, he like had that like kind of mech super strength suit thing where it sounded like a robot. Like when it was on, she like looked over at me and she was like, "Wait, is he
I
robot
was
now?"
so confused. I was like, well, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
So I feel like they've already kind of done what it would end up being if he became Darth Gideon. So I
also
don't know.
like seeing his face because it's like Gustavo Fring. So like I want to see his face. I don't want it to be covered.
But they can get him cheaper if
I
he
know.
just goes
You're right.
the Pedro.
They could have just actors portraying the character and
that's
replace
true.
his voice. Yeah,
That's a good
unheard of
point.
in this show.
Yeah, that is a good point. I don't know. Like, so I guess to sort of march towards the end of this episode here, and we are going to announce the winner of the Mando code in a couple minutes here. But to sort of close out our discussion, I'll throw it back to you, Ordinary Adventures. After watching this, because I was sitting there like you, Kitcher, at the end, and you start seeing the Dutch voices provided by, and you're like, I don't think we're getting this end of episode stinger with all these like back credits and stuff as the clock's ticking. 10 seconds, 9 seconds left.
If it goes down, it's done.
Yeah,
on
that's what I
Disney
figured.
Plus.
Yeah.
But if it
So-
stays, there's something there.
So do you guys think we're gonna see like Mando and Grogu in like Ahsoka or Skeleton Crew, and they're gonna try to tie that in, or and more importantly, like for Mando itself, do you guys have any thoughts on where they may take this thing? And if not, that's cool too.
I don't know, but like, is Bo-Katan gonna get her own show, or because I want to see more of that now that I don't know. But I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see more with the Mandalorians and stuff, but like, I don't know how does Mando fit into. I mean, we think Ahsoka's going to be them in search of Ezra, right? And then like obviously Thrawn's reemergence.
Yeah.
How would Mando fit into that? I don't know. I guess he's going to be in the Outer Rim, and that's where Thrawn is going to have to. I'm guessing he's going to have an appearance at some point.
And he's sort of like with Carson Teva sort of saying like you're going to come work with us a bit. So he's sort of lining up with the New Republic a little bit.
I'm so happy for Paul, by the way. Give him as much screen time as he wants.
Yeah.
As soon as he was like, "Oh, what do you want?" I was like, "A show with you, Paul." So when he was like, "Oh, we're gonna work together," I was like, "There he is, season regular. Here we go. Here we go."
Yeah. All right. Well, Lacey, do you have any thoughts on where Mando's going, and do you expect to see our main heroes popping in these other shows?
I think we're going to see Mando in everything because he's kind of that thread. And as they've been calling this kind of casually as the Mandoverse, like multiple times from Kathleen Kennedy to Dave Filoni, to all these people, Mandoverse. So I feel like because they're all connected, they're going to show up at some point. Maybe not to the extent of like Book of Boba Fett. But I mean, it could literally be like, oh, we need help from someone. He can help us. Or they pass him or something like that.
All right. James, what's going on here? Where are we headed?
The biggest question mark for me is actually Ahsoka, which is surprising because I think for most people that might be the one where it would seem more obvious. But to me, having him go to Carson Teva and said, I want to help in the New Republic and I'm a bounty hunter and I need you to give me these jobs. I think that's a skeleton crew. I think there's a missing ship. They're looking for kids. He's involved somehow. He's going to find them or help them. Somewhere
or the door opens and Grogu's there and the kids are like, oh.
Yeah, or something. And then you get to see after like all these episodes, you get to see him.
I like that.
Or the kids interacting with Grogu or something. There's payoff there. I almost feel that Ahsoka could be its own thing. Like we've got so much to tell. Like we don't necessarily need to bring in Mando at this point, and you're going to be getting him at the end of the year anyway. You get him now. You can skip Ahsoka and get him in Skeleton Crew. That's my thought. Skeleton Crew, no Ahsoka.
Interesting. I like that. I like that we don't know because I'm not sure either. I like what you're saying, Lacey, about like because he's the central figure of all this, him sort of like at least checking in so we can get a taste of where they're at in the timeline as we move forward. Because
I think that's also true. It's like just an indicator of where it takes place.
Like, oh,
it's
he
confusing.
he modded the N1 a little bit, just subtle like things, you know, to enrich the layers of the suspension of disbelief too, especially with this all building up to the movie. Book of Boba Fett, yeah. And that's just all. I think what makes this even harder to speculate, especially the end of The Mandalorian as a show, is this is all building up to this big movie, which all these shows are, I guess, Kathleen Kennedy basically said, as candid as she's ever been, in my opinion, this is all building up with all these characters into one big climactic movie. So it's going to be even harder to speculate because that's when a lot of the stuff's going to go down in that movie. So I think, Kitra, to your point, like whether Bo-Katan gets a series or not, she's probably going to have a really massive arc and part in that movie. So Katie Sackhoff doesn't have to worry about rent for a long time.
She does Hallmark movies too, so she can.
She just loves, I love that she just loves being Bo-Katan, and that's all I need. Like, I just love that she loves it, you know, because we've been.
She had a Christmas one last year where she was like in this town, and she goes back after like she had gotten a divorce with her daughter, and there's like a boat parade, and I just remember being like, Bo-Katan's doing a boat parade in this like New England town for Christmas.
I love that for her.
Yeah, she seems really happy.
Was it called Merry Christmas?
No, but she was very good in it. She has this whole moment with her father where she's like, "You don't understand me," and I was like, "You tell him. You tell him he doesn't understand."
Well, be sure to check that out. Everybody,
I'm gonna look it up right now. People are asking in the chat what movie it is. I'm gonna look it up.
But before we get out of here, we are going to first announce our winner of our Mando code giveaway, and this person was the fastest draw from the hip, as a good bounty hunter is, and the winner of the entire lot. So again, you're getting the Black Series 3-pack Mandalorian, Ahsoka Tano, and Grogu. Resistance Broadcast logo t-shirt, Mandalorian and Grogu Funko Pop, and the Star Wars Celebration exclusive from this year, the tracking fob keychain. And that is going to Danny Uresti. So congratulations, Danny. If you are in the chat, I assume you are because you were paying attention to the prompts. Congratulations on being the ultimate bounty hunter on this season of the Mando Fan Show. Thanks to everybody who did follow along on the Mando Code. As you know us, we're going to have more giveaways going forward, but this puts a wrap on the Mando Code of this season. So
Well
thank
done,
you to everybody
Danny.
for playing along.
Also, for
Congratulations,
everybody
Danny.
at home, Christmas sale.
There
There she is.
Christmas
Look
sale.
at her. Look how happy she looks.
And for people wondering what the answer was,
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to like interrupt.
oh, that's okay. It's way more important. Way more important. Because that Abbey Road looking cover was just mind blowing. The answer is 11/27/2020 in that order, which was the release date of Ahsoka's live action debut in Star Wars with the Jedi for the Mandalorian season 2. So congrats to a lot of people got it, but Danny was the first one to get that answer in. So congrats to Danny, but thank you to everybody for playing along. Hope you had fun, and don't worry, we'll have more contests going forward, not just on the Mando Fan Show. But before we get out of here, I got to say thank you again to Kitra and Peter. You guys, it is such a fun time hanging out. It flew by, which means you're having a good time. We got a cameo from the dogs. Always appreciate that.
Sorry about that.
No, are you kidding?
no.
You know us. We love that stuff. James has a dog. My dog barks sometimes. My kids sound like they're bowling upstairs. We all have our things here. But I want to thank you both for joining us very, very much. And once again, where can people find you? And what's next on your adventure? Where are you headed next?
Where are we heading next?
Oh, actually, well, you can find us youtube.com/ordinary adventures. And we're actually going back to the Galactic Star Cruiser, and we'll be there on May the 4th. So that's
Oh,
Oh my
pretty exciting.
god!
there you
Isn't
go.
that the sold out
Yeah.
one?
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of fun. A lot of friends are going.
We got peer pressured. Some friends.
We did. We're
booked
staying
a
in like
big
the
room
grand
and-
suite, like with a bunch of people. We have like captain's table.
But
It's
I
going to
kn-
be crazy.
Wow.
But Peter's
Yeah.
talked about nonstop on Twitter. He's like, guys, today I was just thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about
I
the Star
know.
Cruiser. So I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you
Yeah.
get to go back.
Are
I'm
they
excited.
doing anything special that's out of the
We don't
Ordinary.
Not
know.
that we know, but I am going to get my face painted this time. So I'm pretty excited about,
Very
I
about
love
that.
that.
And they
I
can make
love
you like a
that.
Star Wars alien, and there's a bunch of stuff that we didn't get to do the first time we were there. So we're going to try all that stuff and make a video.
And also at Disneyland, they're doing a whole Star Wars month of May. And then there's also a Star Wars night, and we'll be covering all that on our YouTube channel as well.
Can't wait to
Excellent.
watch.
and tips are always good for how to like not just survive Disney, but how to like just maximize your experience. So I think you guys do a wonderful job. And
What not to miss is the big thing because there's just so much. You guys are very honest with like, do
yeah,
this, not this. Ignore this, not this. I think the best thing you guys said recently, which I really loved, was the grilled cheese tomato soup tip.
Oh my god, that's
All for
So
it.
good.
the best thing there.
So good.
Recently, we did a video where we ate every pizza at
Oh.
theme parks in Southern California to tell you which pizzas are good, which pizzas are bad, and is there good theme park pizza. You'll have to watch the video.
Yeah.
That's living the dream, man. I
That
love
is
it.
living the dream.
That's so awesome.
For some.
Yeah.
but thank you both very much for coming on. We do have, it looks like we had one more super chat come in. So
We do. We have
we'd be
one
remiss
more.
if we didn't. Yeah.
So Brewvies with Matt, thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Matt.
much, said, I think that version of Gideon died, but we are going to find out that one of his force-imbued clones survived. Next season will be Super Gideon.
Crazy.
There we go.
He
Yeah,
already
we're
was
doing that.
super, though. Could he get
He
any more
was.
super?
He's just like Kevin Nash's super shredder from Secret of the Ooze or something.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Deep cut
something,
Ninja Turtles reference.
something
Oh,
that I
Danny's in
kinda
the
forgot
comments.
about.
Congrats,
Oh,
Danny.
there's Danny.
Oh, he's
Someone won
Danny,
the
our
prize.
winner. All right,
Yes.
congratulations, Danny. We will email you just to get your details, and we'll get all that stuff out to you. So thank you again for watching along all season. But yeah, Kitra and Peter, thank you again so much. We do want to say thank you to everybody who joined us live. Anyone who's listening on your audio platforms, whether that's Spotify or Apple, we appreciate that very, very much. And of course, our patrons at patreon.com/resistance broadcast. We do have to say a special shout out, as we always do, to our top generals and spice runners. So thank you to Carmelo, John RISI, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Darth Hurricane, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Danny, Mike Ramori, Matt Heath, Brendan McLaughlin, Count Pepto, Sneaky Zebra, Paul Sullivan, Aaron Ellington, Diana Ivar, Micah Harrison, Chris White, Colin Cormier, Haas, Ryan Wara, and Jolton Jedi DiMaggio. And then our Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gelner, Dave Hornak, Thomas Hennessy, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and Michael Fry. And thank you to everybody for supporting what we do here at TRB. It means a great deal. We will be back next week to recap season 3. Just more of a relaxed look back on the entire season now that everything has calmed down. And then we'll go back to our normal rotation of TRB Live on Thursdays thereafter. But Johnny Hoey on Twitter for me and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. James, how about you?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, both at Myra Trunkson. And a quick mention, too, about the ending of the episode with, like, Looney Tunes, like, circles.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that. I loved that.
I was kind of like, that seems a little out of play, out of tone, but I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah. That's a good call. I forgot about that, actually. And Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran and on TikTok at It's Lacey Gilleran. And also, if you're a Patreon member, you get to join our live Q&A after this about Celebration. But if you're not, don't worry. We're releasing that episode to all our streams tomorrow to talk about everything Star Wars Celebration. We're a little bit late. We were sick. We're feeling better. So we're going to get right into it and talk about what we experienced at the show.
Right after it. Yeah. So thank you again to everybody for joining us this season on the Mando Fan Show. Again, don't forget next week we're going to do a more of a loose recap and stuff like that, but we really appreciate it. So until next time here on the Resistance broadcast, as always, we will see you around, kids.